I'm Ronnie Thomas from Christiansburg, Virginia. 1978 Winston Cup Rookie of the Year, and my dad, he raced from in the 50s, but he run Cup from 65 till technically the mid-70s, and then I kind of took over. And so here I am, getting ready to turn 70 years old, and it's just kind of a lot of our history and a lot of actually probably more other drivers' history and crew members and people that's involved in racing than it is mine. We got, and my dad, so we're just kind of very versatile when it comes to the race stuff. I didn't want to have a place that was all about myself. Now, when you go to the Woods Brothers or Petty's, somewhere about that, like that, that's okay, because they're a big enough name. It needs to be about them. But I wanted to make it when I was doing it. Didn't even plan on it turn out to be this bigger deal, but I kind of like making it about everybody I can. So I've kind of, a lot of stuff is my dad's, a lot of stuff is mine, and it's a lot of other people's stuff. That a few things I've traded for, a few things I've bought over the years, but this is it.
I noticed you had a lot of jackets. You have a lot of crew uniforms as well. Many different people. As we go across the room, we'll obviously hit those, see those. Um, right here, this is a program. I'm a big program collector, so I was quite fascinated when I saw this. This is from Martinsville in 1990.
This is something a lot of people like, and people come in, and this guy, I was around him a good bit. I went down to Harry Hyde's shop. This was when the old Hendricks, back in the 70s, when they just had like 6 or 8 buildings at the top of the hill. And a lot of the people back in the day will know what I'm talking about. I mean, it was a very small place. I don't even guess it wasn't even Hendricks then, I don't think. But Robert G was there, and I took my car down. Harry Hyde let me and a boy bring it down there, and we worked on it in Harry Hyde's little shop. He didn't charge me nothing, and got to spend 2 or 3 days with Harry, Robert G, and there's his outfit. A lot of people don't know, but Robert G is Dale Earnhardt married Robert G's daughter, so that would be, and that would be, I guess you'd say, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s grandfather.
Wow. It's really neat, and obviously there's James Hilden there. Your father raced a lot against James Hilden, especially back in the 60s and 70s. So, what if you could tell me what was from the time James Hilden started back in like I believe his rookie year, 1966, if I'm correct.
Right.
Hilden didn't win many races, but he was very consistent, and he always got a lot of top 5 point standings finishes. So, and you raced against him too. What was it like being around James Hilden?
James Hilton was one of those different. He was a little bit like my dad in a way, but he was probably a little more serious on the racing side, and he was more knowledgeable than us. James was one of them guys. You know, he was crew chief for couple top drivers. I know one. I can't remember. It was Ned Jarrett or shoot, I can't think. But anyway, he crewed. He was like the head mechanic or something for one of the top teams before he started. But James Hilton was very sharp on chassis, and I think that's what helped him back in the day. And yeah, I drove for him. I mean, first all 200-mile-an-hour stock car race in 1986 Talladega, I was driving his car. He called me up at the house and said, "You want to drive my car at Talladega?" And I was kind of backing out. I said, "Well, sure." So I went down there and drove the car, and we made field. So if it wouldn't been for James, I couldn't say I was in the first all 200-mile-an-hour starting field in NASCAR history.
What year did you race that Pontiac? I've seen it in YouTube videos before, watching races from back in the 80s.
We got the Pontiac in 81, and I ran Pontiac through 83. And I had 2 of them. One car is a car I take around to shows, and you know, you kind of think, you see people say, well, this is one of the actual race cars from 75. This is one of the race cars from 80. This is one of the actual Cup cars or Busch cars, etc. from 85. And sometimes you got to question when they authenticate stuff, because you know, it's word of mouth. It's somebody from that raced in the 70s and 80s or crew chiefs or built the cars. I mean, you think when it's been that many years, you gotta wonder how accurate it is. Now, a lot of them are accurate, but like the car I've got right now, I had a buddy that helped me in the, started helping me in 79. He helped me to about 84, 85. I was thinking this was the old Richard Childress car. But now, I got talking to him, he said, no, this is what we've come down to figure out. It's pretty well, I mean, am I 100% sure? 95% sure, 99. It's this car I got from Cecil Gordon. So, you know, I would have got it in 79 or 80 from Cecil. So, that's what I'm saying. A lot of times I even get off, I'm thinking, that's because this car sat down here in Roanoke, Virginia, 30 miles from me. Actually, Salem, Virginia, 25 miles from me. And it sat out for 30 years. And the reason I know it's my car was the guy bought it from me. He had it. It sat outside, so kind of lucky to get it back, I guess. It's, you know, you say lucky, but now I've done spent a lot of money on it and restoring it, and it's, when you're doing this stuff for yourself, you spend all this money restoring it, and when you turn around and sell it, I'm not worried about selling it right now, but you don't do this stuff here. To me, it's not really an investment. You do it because you like doing it. So what I've got in the car, when the day comes in a few years, when I'm getting a little older and I'm just kind of on the other end of it, you kind of think, well, you sell it, and if you got $10,000 in something, you get $2,000. That's the way it is. So I don't look at it on the financial side. I look at the side of I've enjoyed it. It's part of our history. It's part of a lot of other people's history, drivers, crew members, etc. So it's, this stuff here is, it's, you got to enjoy it and you got to like it to get involved in it this deep.
This is Daytona. What year was this?
This be 1983. I think this is Rick Baldwin. I'm not positive. I might be wrong. This is J.D. McDuffie, and I think that's Ronnie Hopkins or Ronnie Hopkins' son or Ronnie Hopkins Jr., whatever. But I'll show you out in the garage. I mean, so many of the pictures I've got from the 70s and 80s when I ran, what's odd is if it's, you know, it might be 7 cars in the frame and all 6 people are gone. So a lot of these people I raced with, they're all gone now. Of course, because when I started racing with, a lot of these guys were, you know, I was in my 20s and early 30s. A lot of these guys was in their 40s and 50s, so they're gone. So,
yeah,
you know, I'm the last of the group that ran with a lot of these guys. This is the first restrictor plate they came out with in, I don't know when it was, after Bobby Alves had his wreck, and they let you, I kept mine, so that's one of the first restrictor plates. And my dad and me went down to Petty's to spend a day with them here, I don't know, about 12, 14 years ago. And my dad had got this from Maurice back in the, I don't know, early 70s, 72, 73. So I went down and got Maurice to sign it, got my dad to sign it. It's one of the restrictor plates from, I don't even think my dad remembered what the deal was on. But anyway, we kept it and just, I don't know, the shocks. Here's the thing. This is one of the cushions we had from Darlington. This would have been in the probably 60s or 70s. Of course, you can no longer take these in the track to set on.
Yeah.
And that's, I'll show you how much things changed. Monroe had their shocks, and they call them, well, we call them Monroes, that's what they went to, but they were called Napa Regal Ride shocks. And I was thinking, I got one out in the garage that's still got this decal on it, but all this stuff here is just, you know, it's got pushed out. You're not even allowed to bring any of this stuff into the track. And, you know, hey, I'm not around it anymore, so that's what they do is what they do. But
right,
and that's just how much history has changed in racing and everything else.
Definitely, in the rule books too. I mean, look how small that is compared to the ones now. I mean, that's for 1951. You got a ton of rule books. 70,
yeah,
78, 55,
65. I got all the way from, I think, 65 till, I'm thinking about 84, 85. So
wow.
Just kept all this. Just one of these crazy guys has kept all this stuff. Intake had run on the Cup. I guess the ARCA cars maybe run too, and I don't know what other bitch, but this was a Cup intake. and it was called a bathtub intake, and it would have been run in the, I guess, I don't know when they first run these things, somewhere in the 60s, I guess. I don't know if it's 66, 67, but they run them on up into the 73, 4, till they came out with they kept restricting these things and got rid of these Dominator carburetors and started putting smaller carburetors and restricting them. So actually, what happened they kept restricting them till they wasn't running. It kind of forced people to go to small blocks, 350s, 351 Fords, and that's what it, this stuff got pushed out, and then the new stuff come in, the next generation of them.
Carburetor from a Ford, from your dad. How did he get that carburetor?
And this, Leonard Wood made this in '53, and I took it over there about 10 years ago. My dad and myself, we went over and got verified, which my dad knew what it was, and of course I knew through my dad. But my dad won a championship in '58 with it, but he didn't remember if he ran it all of '58, but he did run it some races in '58 at the old Pulaski County Speedway and up here in Virginia. And it's a two barrels, Stromberg's on top, and it's got a 2-barrel on the bottom. And Leonard, you seen it out, Leonard had hollowed the bottom of it out, the holes out, and he put two barrels on top, and when it had an air cleaner that went on top of it, you couldn't see it. So technically, he was running a 4-barrel, and you're supposed to be running a 2-barrel, but it's pretty innovative. I don't know if you, well, Leonard, when he signed this thing, he said, I hate to see this thing get out there and everybody know I'm cheating. I don't really call it cheating. It's just innovation, whatever
Right.
you want to call it. If you want to call it cheating, cheat. But who wasn't doing it? Everybody's doing it. And
Exactly.
yeah. So I mean, everybody was breaking. Well, I don't even know what kind of rules they would have had back in the '50s. But I got Leonard sign it, and Glenn, and my dad, and we got pictures with it and all. So that's and there's a picture with one of the cars he drove. He had a couple different cars with a couple different numbers, but that's just. This piece here, a lot of people really like this piece. Tell you one other thing, my dad gave $25 for this. He said he thought it was like 56, 57 at the old Woods Brothers shop, which I think is pushed over now. This steering box here, I won Martinsville with it in March 12th of '89, and then late ball, that's where the clock come from when I won. And I give $25 over to Wood Shop to Leonard for that steering box. It's a quick steering box from Martinsville. So I won the Martinsville race, $25 steering box. My dad won a race, it's a $25 carburetor outfit.
From your first race, tell me about your first race and and how that went.
Well, the first race, which was July the 31st, '77 at Pocono, and I only ran 4 races a year, so we'd be I don't know about now, but back in the day you could only run a maximum of 5 races the year before you rookie.
Correct.
To be eligible. Well, I never run nothing but 4-cylinders. I'd probably run 20 or 30 races. I mean, it's changed so much. I mean, I got out of a 4-cylinder, and I'm going to Pocono in a cup car and didn't know nothing about it. And I don't know, I ran about 30, 40 laps and ended up backing into the wall. So I was getting experience, but I can tell you what, my dad and his partner then, before I took it over completely, when I backed it into the wall, the very words they said, if you do that too much, we'll be out of business. So
Right.
that was his first thing and first learning it. You had to run at a certain pace. You couldn't run too hard. You couldn't run too fast. Hey, if you wanted to race, that's the way it was. And there's people came in it and they run balls out in 2 or 3 races, 4 races, they were gone. So we did what we did, and we won Rookie of the Year, and it turned out pretty good.
I have a timing chart here from what year was that?
This would have been, let's see, I don't know if it's even got, this is Winston give them out to, I guess, the crew guys and all. But Dad had this one. This is from, well, see, Riverside. A lot of the tracks at this, it's just a conversion chart. Tells you how fast it runs. Charlotte, Daytona,
Awesome.
Yeah, Nashville, Michigan. I mean, there's Dover Downs. There's tracks on here that, Ontario Motor Speedway. So it's kind of, that's some of the stuff we've kept. And, like I said, it's not that I keep it for a value. It's because I keep it when I like it. I mean, if somebody come over and offer me $50 for it, or $1 or $100, I don't want to sell it. It's not about the money with me. It's about the history at this time.
Exactly. And yeah, you got all these shirts we were talking about a little bit earlier, the jackets, and got some cutouts here as well. I see. The dog is video bombing. It's sniffing one of your cabinets. So, how long have y'all had the dog?
7 years. Baby, are you a photo bombing? Hmm? Are you wanting the videos?
Well, it's definitely in the video now. So you have a bunch of helmets here. Tell me about some of the history of these helmets. They're open face.
This is my dad's first helmet in '65 when he run Cup. And it was white, but when I was a kid, I don't know, I was just a kid. I was young, about 12 years old. I painted it black. That's where it didn't kick my butt. But anyway, I got him to sign that several years back. This is one of the first helmets I ever wore. It was my dad's used helmet. He ran when he was running the Dodges and all, and then I started using it. And I don't know when how long I ran it, but you can see where I'd wrecked, and I didn't notice till I got it out looking at it. The sides of it's busted. So, you probably wore it after that, but you didn't really, of course I was running Baby Grand 4-cylinders. You didn't think nothing about wearing a helmet cracked then. You was just glad to be able to race, and this is my helmet from '84, I think. So, the thing about it is, I give a lot of stuff away that I didn't think now. I mean, I'm talking about like 30, 40 years ago. I've got a couple of uniforms I give away. I got a helmet or two I give away. So I was one of them people. I saved a lot, but I give some stuff away to friends too. There'd be people help me. So you'd end up giving them something for their helping you out for nothing. And showcases, and actually my trophies from the late model stock division from the 80s and 90s they're mostly 90% of mine. I got a few out here like North Wilkesboro, Martinsville, and this is when I sit on the pole in the Baby Grand at North Wilkesboro. This is my first trophy I won in late model, which was in Pulaski County Speedway in 1989. That's a championship trophy from Pulaski County Speedway in '90. All right, this is our grandfather clock myself and my team won in March 12th of 1989 at Martinsville. Of course, everybody knows the Cup and the trucks and the Bush, whatever. It ain't Bush anymore, it's Xfinity. Late model stock. Everybody gets a grandfather clock when it wins. But, so this is, you kind of think, what is the centerpiece that you really like? I got a lot of things. Probably the grandfather clock, and it's a couple things out in the garage, and a couple more things in here that really means, all of it means a lot to me. But this would probably be the top. And Jimmy Spencer come by, and we got one of those, what you call them, crying towels. And I got him to sign it hanging up. He come in here looking around, and he said, "You've got something I don't have." And I said, "What's that?" He said, "I never got a grandfather clock." And I said, "You kidding?" He said, "No, he won the race at Martinsville, and Jerry Cook kicked him out because the fuel cell was 1/10 of a gallon. I think he had to have 22 gallons on the modifieds. I'm not positive. I might be wrong on them. But either way, he was 1/10 of a gallon over the limit, and Jerry Cook kicked him out of it. And so Jimmy said, "I always wanted a grandfather clock." So it's funny, even though it's not Cup, it's late model stock. This right here means a lot to me.
What was the sponsorships like back then? Like, was it hard to get sponsors and all that? And
very
what sponsors did you have in the late 1970s?
Everybody. If they had a couple $100, they would get on the car somewhere. Our main sponsor was Louise Smith, and she averaged giving us about $200 a race. And we was glad to get that, and they was very good friends with her. And we'd have people like Falls Radiator, and that's Buddy Ayrton's car beside of me, and he had Falls on there. And most of the time, people don't realize, a lot of times people be on your car and they would give you a radiator, or somebody say, "Hey, I'll buy you 4 tires." Yeah, you get on a quarter panel and stuff like that. So this is a '78 Rookie of the Year uniform, and this down here is my dad's uniform from 1969. It's the Daytona 500, first time he wore it, but he wore this on and off all through the year. He only had 2 uniforms. But so this is '69, the Firestone uniform, my dad's, and that's the Petty Plymouth that he bought at Richard Run in '68. So '69 uniform, Cup uniform, 78 Rookie of the Year Cup uniform. Well, see, if it was doing something all about myself and my dad, I might have enough to put in this room if I was lucky. I wouldn't have I'd probably have a fourth this much. So, you know, I don't think it would be quite as alluring if you just come here and it was about my dad and me. So I made mine about everybody. When you go to a lot of people, other people's museum, 99% of it is about them. And that's fine. They're great that they do that. But I like spreading the, hey, what do you say, spread the love around. I like everybody to get a little piece of it. So that's what I try to do. Let me turn the heat up a little bit for you.
Feels good in here, and this is amazing as well. There's so much in here. Wow, that's a wing off of a Plymouth Sutenberg.
Yes.
You got a lot of vendors as well. A lot of signed things. I recognize the '86 Richmond one of Dale Earnhardt's front from that incident with Darrell Waltrip. I remember you showed me that one when we met at the Winston Cup Museum. Now this looks a little beat up. Where was this from?
That's off by the car I've got now, which is the Advance Auto car. It was Advance Auto. They only had a 15 race deal with us, and in the second half of the season, we got McCord gaskets, and they give us $1,000 racing. And really, that was a lot of money to us in the second half of the '83 season. And this was crashed at Richmond, and I've got the pictures of it. And Jimmy Means and myself crashed coming out of the fourth corner, and I run in the guardrail, and Jimmy crashed into me. So this is the door from '83, and like I say, I actually got this from a collector. He came in and he didn't sell it to me. I traded him something for it, so that's how I got the door.
Yeah, these doors are amazing, and Mike did a great job painting them as well. And then you have all the decals and everything.
Well, what the heck, you got them in here so you want to kind of, you know, people come in, they look at stuff, and it's kind of a quick little history board, a few little things, and not really so much of a history board, just tells you a little bit about us, our numbers, and the late model stock, and the cup, stuff. So, yeah, I just figured it's inside and dressed the garage up a little bit.
Tell me a little bit about these parts you have here on the floor, if you don't mind.
Well, this set of 429 Ford Boss valve covers. This set of valve covers like we raced in you know, 70s, 80s, 90s. Chevrolet, small block. These are a set of 426 Hemi valve covers. I asked my dad's crew chief. He can't remember. I don't know if they're off their car or somebody else's car or what, but that's the old racing Hemi valve covers. This is just a selection of shocks. Coney, Carrera, Pros, Bilsteins that we ran back in the day. The door here is off of Petty's Ford in '69. He only ran it 1 year. And that's where it come from, out of the junkyard.
What do you say was your most memorable racing moment?
Memorable? Well, probably 1978 at Ontario Motor Speedway when I won Rookie of the Year, and Ken Squire was there and the CBS crew, and you know, they did a piece with us during the week while we was in California going down the road in the truck, and then after the race they followed us. My dad was driving the truck and I was in the passenger side, so you know, that was something that my dad and me could be tied in together with, and several memorable moments. But you know, we didn't have a lot of outstanding moments on the track. You know, we had a couple 7th, 8th, 10th place finishes, but you know, we just did the best we could, and was, I guess now I look back, we're just glad to get to be a part of it. You know, I can, hey, we never did win a championship, we never did win a race, but you know, I can say I run several Daytona 500s. I did the circuit for several years and got to be friends with Richard Petty and Kel Yarborough and David Pearson and Tim Richmond and Bobby Ellis. So got to rub shoulders with and to be friends with a lot of them. So that's some of the memories that, me and my dad traveling up with the crew, traveling across country and working all night shopping up and down the highway, eating nabs and veiny weenies and mom fixing sandwiches and all those eating going down. That's the little things you don't think about then that means a lot now. It's just the little things. And tell you something else, we was going to California and we had a produce truck we took out there. Our truck was broke, so we borrowed a produce truck to go out there. Silly as it might sound, had our open trailer behind it going to California. I don't know if it was Riverside, Ontario, but I'll never forget it. It's no air conditioning, and we took our brake ducts that we was going to put under the bumpers, and we put them, tied them to each side of the mirrors, and we had the hoses come in and would blow air on us going down the road. Just have a little air, but we went to make sandwiches and had the peanut butter up in the cabinet, and it was so hot, I'll never forget, we opened the lid up, and we didn't have to use a spoon. The peanut butter done got soft. It just kind of run out of the can. That's a little things you think about now that, you think, God, it'd be nice to have air conditioning, but if we had air conditioning, we'd have them memories to go by.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned Ontario Speedway. That was a track that I've always been fascinated about. They called it the Indianapolis of the West. What was it like driving? Was it very challenging and hard? Because it was the turns were very sweeping, it seemed like, and the car would push.
I really liked Ontario, and I think I only got to run there about 2 or 3 times, but I loved Ontario. It was just a fun track to drive. It was kind of challenging. Turns didn't have much banking, and I never got to run an Indy, but I guess it was copied after Indy. Ontario was a fast track, and it was a fun track to drive. And the neat thing about Ontario, when we go to Riverside in Ontario, a lot of the crew guys, I think the crew guys only got to go one time because it was so far and they had to work to get off work that long. But we went to Ontario and Riverside. It'd be a couple guys, my dad, maybe another guy with me, and then what we would do on Sunday when you would pit, you would actually have friends. They'd come out on Friday. They'd help you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they'd help you change your motor or whatever you need to do. And on race day, they got to be your pit crew. So it'd be people from around the surrounding area in Riverside, Ontario. We got to be friends with all those people.
Yeah.
They would come out and they would be your pit crew. So we was glad to have them, and they got to be a part of it.
That's awesome.
I think it's great bringing Rockingham back. Rockingham was a lot of fun to drive. The worst thing about Rockingham, I think we went down there in March. Man, it would be cold as a witch's tit if we'd go down there to race. It was just so cold, and as an average in March, and of course it was okay in the fall, but Rockingham was a challenging track. The main thing I remembered about Rockingham was going in turn 3. We was always mid-pack, further back in the backpack markers. So the problem you have at Rockingham was you was running, and say if you was running with your group of independents, guys running together, when the hot dogs, or I call them hot dogs, and people like Allison, Petty, and Yarborough and all would come up on you, that when you go in 3, you could really mess them up if you weren't careful, because it would tighten up going in 3, that would narrow up. And if you didn't kind of back off, if one of them was right up on you going in 3, if you didn't kind of back out and let them drop in front of you, and you run down in the hole, they could really, if they was racing with somebody, and you let the car in front of them ahead of you, and then they had to wait, check up just a second, get by you, they would a lot of times lose 3 or 4 car lengths through that corner because of the way it was designed. It's a challenging track. Rockingham's, I don't know what it looks like now, but it was a nice racetrack then. I'm sure it's a lot prettier now with all the work they've done to it.
Definitely, and I just was at Rockingham last week for a test, and they were going 20 miles an hour faster than the track record. The trucks and the Xfinity were. That's how fast they're going, and it's progressing very well. They've added some things, and I'm excited to see the race there in April. I'm probably going to be working that weekend.
Well, I see they paved the track, I think.
Yeah, they did repave it. They repaved it last year.
Yeah, so that's probably, helped it. But see what's happened from, 20 years ago whenever they run our last, especially when I run there, I probably run 30 mile an hour faster. But the difference is the technology of the cars and the trucks and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
the shocks, the tires, the downforce, the engineering that's went into the chassis. You can't, you know, everybody says, people in the know, but you cannot even compare what happened 20, 30 years, 40 years ago to now, because the technology has advanced so much so. You know, most of the speed has come from the technology. Or
Yeah.
all of the speed has come from the technology.
For sure. Rockingham has been around for a long time. Obviously, first race was 1965. It's my favorite track. I'm just really happy to see it back on the schedule again.
Yes, we like Rockingham. I mean, I like, you know, everybody's got their tracks. I like Michigan. I like Bristol. I like Martinsville. Rockingham. I always thought Riverside was a very challenging road course, but I loved Riverside. The worst thing about Riverside in Ontario was, you know, it was 2,000 miles out there.
Right.
We didn't stop. We went straight through. We'd stop in Texas and everybody take showers. They'd charge you $2 to take showers. We'd stop at the truck stop, take showers and eat, jump back in the truck, and head on out. And, you know, when you get there, you know, next thing you know, you hopefully get there the evening before, and you clean up and get a night's rest before you go to the track. And then as soon as the race is over, we'd head to Michigan most of the time, or we'd come back and go to Daytona. So it's kind of a grueling deal going to Ontario and Riverside for the guys back in the day. No rest going to those places and back.
For sure. What would you say is your most prized possession that you have in this?
Wow, I can't put a finger on one certain thing. You know, there'd be things of my dad's, like his uniform and his Darlington trophy, 2 or 3 things like that, and his trophy from Pulaski County Speedway when he won the championship in '58 would be my prize stuff. And of course, my Rookie of the Year uniform and a couple of things from Pulaski. So that's my prize. But you know, from what other people would come in and be prize possessions would be the Richard Petty 1970 uniform, stuff like Richard's door from 1969, his driver's door, you know, the Earnhardt nose and tail section where his spoiler went on from '86. Cale Yarborough's door from '69 at Texas when he crashed and broke his shoulder. Kyle Petty's door when he drove for the Woods Brothers. I think that was '86. I'd have to look on the right up I got on. Some of that stuff. Jimmy Spencer's door. Got Jimmy and Mike Hill to sign it from, I think, Daytona, July the 4th race. I don't know if that'd be 95, I believe.
It's 94 and 95.
Yeah, so I know it was right around that area. I've got it wrote down inside on the paper where I know for sure. When the day comes, you know, like I said, there'll be a day coming. It might be a year, it might be 3 or 4 years, when I'm going to say, I'm done, all this stuff will be sold, but not ready yet. These are, well, they're 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they're all Speed Queens mostly. The one on the lower right, this is actually, I don't know, she did some work with Budweiser at the tracks, and we dated for about 7 or 8 years, so that would have been about 84, 85 at Michigan. But this is a neat door right here. This is kind of an iconic door, and Ray Hendricks.
Yeah, I recognize it.
Yeah, and I got his son to sign it, Roy, a couple years ago at the Lenny Pond reunion, and who would ever think he and I were about the same age, healthy as no health problems. 2 weeks later he was dead. Got some kind of something happened to him. So that's what I'm saying, when you get this stuff signed, who would ever think when Roy signed this that he would have passed away? Just like Cale, I went down and got Cale to sign the door. Turn around later, a year later, here Cale's passed away. So that's why you got to get this stuff signed and meet these people and try to keep up the history, because, you know, he was 70, I guess, 71. Cale was in excellent health. That's why you got to do this stuff, because these guys are getting gone, so you got to try to keep up with them and learn. It's like Bill Blair. I talked to him. You catch all the history of these guys, because when they're gone, the history goes with them.
This is one that a lot of people are very fascinated about. This is from the front bumper and the tail of Dale Earnhardt's car from when he wrecked Waltrip at Richmond in '86. So tell me about how you got this and about the whole thing.
I got this piece and the 21 door from a friend in Roanoke. He worked with the Woods brothers from, I don't know, I can't remember exact date, around, well, it had been 85 or 86, and I think he quit like in 92. And he's had these pieces put up actually since then. This door has been in the garage since 69 or 70. He got it from the Woods, or one of the Woods brothers crew guys. And you know, it's just been put up, and he's getting older, and we friends, and next thing you know, so I purchased these pieces from him. So kind of, I would say these were a lucky find right here.
Some more pictures of the 1969 National 500. I have a program from that race actually, and the Dodge Daytona there, Bobby Allison. And this picture here, you got your dad wrecking with Richard Petty at Bristol, then you got you wrecking with Richard Petty at Bristol. Tell me a little bit about the history and the stories, if you remember about those.
Well, I can tell you this. That's when, of course, Richard went to Ford in '69, and that's the Plymouth my dad purchased off Petty at the end of the '68 season. And I just thought it was kind of funny. You know, I've had the pictures forever put up, so I just put them out, and just thought, I think that's the third corner. See, they changed the flag stands. I think it's on a different side now, but I was thinking it's funny. There's Richard and my dad crashed in '69, and there is Richard and me crashing in '84, '85. Just kind of think it's kind of odd. It's the same corner nearly, just 15 years apart, or roughly 15 years apart. 1970, so it's probably started running about 77, I guess, and most people quit running them. I'm guessing we ran them 82, 83, so I'm going to say probably, you could probably say 76, 77 to about 84, when most people kind of got away from it. This is original set of the 180-degree headers. Stahl made them, and some other guy, I can't remember his name, I think two people made them, but Junior Johnson was the first guy I heard them on a car. And I mean, they sound like an Indy car, just buzz pipes. So just an old school set of headers that they were aggravating as crap to fool with. I mean, they wrapped in under the oil pan. It was aggravating changing starters and working on the car with them. They had a unique sound, and they were more or less 180-degree headers made more or less for torque, and they made a little bit more torque up out of the corner. So just an old school set of headers, racing headers. Pulaski has 88. New River Valley 99, Lonesome Pine 92, and then the ones, these are Martinsville in 1989, the same ones I got, you know, the grandfather clock I showed you with. This is North Wilkesboro in 1992, and you know, hey, they all mean a lot to me, all. But anytime you can say you want it Martinsville, North Wilkesboro, you know, they up the game a little bit. But they all mean, don't matter, they all mean a lot to me. But you know, to have a Martinsville and a North Wilkesboro flag, even though they're late model stock, they mean as much to me as the Cup guys' flags do to them when they won.
There's a lot of different parts, and obviously parts of tracks, bricks here. Tell me a little bit about these, if you don't mind. The Curse Turn one right here, I'm not really sure about, and then there's Bowman Gray, the iconic red and white. So tell me a little bit about this Curse Turn.
My shop it's still there. Of course, I sold it in 2000, and it's another business now. But Curtis Turner, Eanes Motor Company, John Eanes, his shop was about 200 yards up the road of mine where they kept Curtis's car. Of course, you got to realize that was in the 40s, early 50s, so it'd been gone for years. But this is one of the, when they tore the building down, this is one of the blocks from the building. Of course, this is a piece, the last race that they run at Bowman Gray in August 24th to 24. That's a piece of the guardrail. This is from my dad's Gulf Station where we kept our race car from 55 to 83. His car was there at times. Most times it was down at Star City Body Shop in Roanoke, but my dad's car was there at times, and we won Rookie of the Year out of this shop in 1978. One bay, service station. The other bay we worked out of, and we kept the race car in the other bay. And sometimes, you know, we'd have to get it out of there and do stuff on the car in the bay my car was in. But primarily, it was we won Rookie of the Year out of a one bay garage. 1978.
Pictures from Dover. There's a Kelly Yarbrough, Richard Petty. That was that 77, I believe.
Yeah, that would be the first year I drove. I only ran 4 races that year, but that's Petty in the Charger, and Kel was in that. I always thought it was a great looking car in the. That would be, I guess, the 75 Monte Carlo Holly Farms, and that was the car I drove. It was my dad. It was actually James Hilton's old car in 72 or 3, I guess. And my dad bought it in 75. My dad and his partner, business partner in racing, Don Robertson, Star City Body Shop, my dad bought it, and everybody drove it. James had drove it, and James Hilton drove it, and Joe Boer. You go on down the list, there's probably 10 different people drove that car. So that was my first race car, and I just thought it was kind of neat. You know, I could say I did get to run 2 or 3 races against the Charger at Petty's. And the other one is the Bush car, and that's the car I would have got off of I guess that would have been Cecil Gordon's car I got, and that's Kel in the old Bush Monte Carlo at Dover. The little guys that made the racing, like around here all over the country, the people run Friday and Saturday nights at the New River, Pulaski County, Franklin County, South Boston. A lot of those guys don't get hardly any credit, if any at all. And a lot of those guys are the ones that kept the fans in the stands. I mean, you had your weekend stuff, but you know, you big name drivers, but a lot of people don't realize these little guys that nobody ever hear of. A lot of them has been the backbone of the sport.
So Ronnie, tell me a little bit about this right here. It's the headstones and your father's.
My dad was living, and we bought these spots in 2007, and it's kind of one of them deals you think, well, you know, I don't have any children, so when I pass away, if I didn't do it, it's going to be a little marker more like, you know, if my wife put something up, but she would have never done anything like this. So I just want to put something up, a little remembrance of my dad and what he did, and a little remembrance of me. So when I'm gone, you know, people that come around, they can, you know, was that Jay Thomas used to race? And now they can say, yeah, that's him, because there's a picture and there's a little bit of history.
It's really neat that you did that.
You know, I just, you know, a lot of people don't know, and I left one driver off, but, you know, when you see there Ned Jarrett, Bobby Wendell, Buddy Baker, and Richard Petty have raced in his car, and 2 of Richard's wins, they were on the trophies I got, where he won on the 2 dirt tracks, but the guy I forgot to put on there was Kel, and he drove the car in 65 or 66 at some little, I don't know, Asheville, Weaverville, or somewhere, a little track, and my dad had told me about it, and Jimmy Cox had told me about it, and when I asked Kel about it, he told me the story about it. So, just like I said, you do this, and when I'm gone, it leaves a little history behind for somebody to keep up with, you know, know what we was about. Just a little short write-up, and people said, yeah, that's Jay, or that's Ronnie, used to live in Christiansburg.
So how long have you lived here?
Getting ready to turn 70 years. I did live just for a little while. I was down in Roanoke. I was raised drive back and forth for maybe 6 months, but technically my residence still here, so technically I've been here 70 years.
And we passed by the place where one of your race shops where we're about to go to see where Curtis Turner's old shop was as well.
That's right, Curtis Turner's and my old shop, the last shop I had for 18 years. So, yeah, we're about a mile from it, so we get out there. You know, my shop's still there. Curtis' shop is torn down, but I will show you the spot where it's another building at where it was. Which the Curtis Turner shop was. And it's, of course, it's a storage building there now, but this is Curtis' shop was, that one building. Of course, it's been torn down for, I don't know, probably 20 years. This is my shop from 82 till 2000, and I sold it in 2000, and it didn't look like when I had it, it was just a cinder block building, one on this front on it. It was just a little cinder block building, nothing special, but it was special to us. You know, it's give us
2,000, whatever it was, 2,200 foot square shop to work in, and you know, it was just so much better than anything we'd ever had, and that was what we raced out of until I quit. 5,000 to 6,000 people a week would come in here back in the 80s and 90s.
And the banks are steeper than I thought they were too.
Yeah, it was a fast little old track, 0.4 of a mile.
The Winston sign there on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And then the drag strip's right here on the right. Wow. Talk about a thrill ride.
God say, don't be doing that. Hey, that's the first time we ever drag raced. If we didn't go for 50 mile an hour.
That's pretty cool. And then now there's nothing down here to catch if you lose your brakes. But I'm sure they had netting and sand back then. They have some tires down there still.
Yeah, and had a sand trap. And that's 8th Mile Strip. Hope everybody's enjoyed the video. And this is kind of where the latter part of my career in '89 till I ended up in at 99 to end of the season. Kind of quit racing, retired. But this is used to be the old Pulaski County Speedway, and then it was New River Valley Speedway, and then the last handful of years, which I didn't run here when it became Motor Mile Speedway in I guess around the late 90s, not 90s, but early 2000 on up, and now it's shut down. And from what we understand, it's going to get pushed over. They're going to leave the drag strip here. And from what we understand, they're going to push it, the track and all will be pushed over, and they're going to make ball fields or something out of that. That's what the scuttlebutt is. So, like so many other places, it's a lot of good memories here, a lot of different drivers. Like I say, all different divisions have raced here, and it's just, you know, becoming a thing of the past. These local racetracks like this in Pulaski County, it's just hard for these tracks to survive anymore, and just times changed, and so I guess this will be one of the things that's going to change. It's going to be gone with the wind, as they say.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and we had a great time here today in Virginia, and it's just very awesome to spend time with Ronnie and just hear his stories and just be able to see him again. He's a good friend of mine, and he shared a lot of knowledge with me, and we are here outside of Motor Mile, and just a lot of cool things I saw today. Very thankful, and the trip was amazing. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and if you haven't yet, hit the like and subscribe button. And until next time, I'm out.